Part 2. The end of health freedom, the coming termination of alternative medicine. In addition to the above controls, the Obama regime is moving to implement in America the European Union's socialist controls on alternate medicine, including vitamins and supplements, alternate medical practitioners, and treatment modulites. This is called Codex Alimentarius. Because of difficulty in getting Codex through the Congress, which knows that most Americans strongly oppose controls on our medical freedom, on June 10th, President Obama quietly issued Executive Order number 13544, titled Establishing the National Prevention, Health Promotion, and Public Health Council. This order effectively launches Codex Alimentarius in America and will bring all preventative and alternate care programs, including the vitamin and supplement industries, under the Department of Health and Human Services and Centers for Disease Control medical guidelines. The CDC and HHS can make illegal all alternate medical care and supplements they arbitrarily rule are unscientific, i.e., not provable by science. To this date, this executive order has gotten very little publicity. The large pharmaceuticals strongly favor Codex because it will stamp out the burgeoning health supplement herbal vitamin business, which is in direct competition with their chemical petro-based drugs. Codex has already done so in Europe. It will make most alternate medicine in the U.S. illegal. Codex Alimentarius, in conjunction with the Obama socialized medicine disaster, is a socialist effort to control the health of the American people and is a huge step towards population control. As in Nazi Germany, euthanasia and expanded abortion programs will be part of the agenda. Incidentally, a sickly or weakened people are much easier to control, in fact, well understood by the global socialist. What are you doing? Government by executive order. Obama is using executive orders as the constitutional usurpation of dictatorial power, similar to what was used in Nazi Germany, to quietly slip under the radar screen unpopular measures such as Codex that would be difficult to pass through Congress. Barack Obama's most recent power grab was an executive order signed in July legalizing the United Nations Law of the Sea Treaty, a treaty that has been repeatedly blocked by the U.S. Senate, including when globalist George W. Bush tried to push laws through the Senate, when the Senate refused to ratify the treaty. LOST gives sovereignty over all our coastal waters and minerals under the sea to the United Nations. America's oceans and coastlines will be broken into 9 regions. Resources of these regions will be heavily taxed by the UN, and the U.S. Will give up sovereignty over our coastlines, coastal waterways, and undersea minerals. This treaty has been pushed by the Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, and most of our presidents since the 1970s, including father and son. Okay, folks, this is the second part of the series. We'll start right in. Warning, tax deluge ahead. The point to remember is that when the government gives, it must first The point to remember is that what the government gives, it must first take away. John S. Coleman. The income tax created more criminals than any other single act of government. Senator Barry Goldwater. All the Congress, all the accountants and lax lawyers, all the judges, and a convention of wizards cannot tell for sure what the income tax law says. Walter B. Wriston, former Citicorp Corporation. If we don't do something to simplify the tax system, we're going to end up with a national police force of internal revenue agents. Leon Panetta, former U.S. Congressman, Chief of Staff, Clinton White House, current CIA Director. I'll give you a little intro. This so-called recession, drastically reduced income has hit all levels of society, from small business to big corporations to local, state, and federal governments. Businesses know what they must do to survive: slash budgets and programs, defer capital expenditures, lay off employees, innovate, etc. Most local and state governments with revenue shortfalls, California excluded, are taking similar steps. However, the federal government, like California, is seemingly oblivious to the financial and economic Katrina that has hit the Western world as debt and deficit levels continue their alarming rise. Not only are the feds not freezing or cutting spending, they're increasing spending sharply and risking national bankruptcy. We'll start off with Obamacare. The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, PPACA, or Healthcare Reform, or Obamacare, is a statute signed into law by President Obama on March 10, 2010. It's nothing if not extremely controversial and faces many legal challenges on numerous fronts. Congressman and medical doctor Ron Paul says congressional leaders relied on highly dubious budget predictions, faulty market assumptions, and outright fantasy to convince a slim majority that this major expansion of government somehow will reduce federal spending. In present form, Obamacare will cost taxpayers over $1 trillion in the next 10 years. Some estimates run as high as $2 trillion. A number of states have already filed suit against Obamacare, claiming it's unconstitutional. One of the most contentious provisions is the insurance mandate, which lies at the core of the entire act, requiring everyone to purchase medical insurance. Congress asserted its authority to require universal medical insurance by saying it was a regulation of commerce, which is constitutionally permissible. However, Randy Barnett, constitutional law professor, Georgetown University, says, this is in the WSJ April 29th issue, the Supreme Court has never upheld a requirement that individuals who are doing nothing must engage in economic activity by entering into a contractual relationship with a private company. Such a claim is literally unprecedented. Barnett says, never before has a tax penalty been used to mandate rather than discourage or prohibit economic activity. The question is, will the court accept that Congress has the power to mandate any activity so long as it is included in the Internal Revenue Code and the IRS does the enforcing? If the Supreme Court overturns precedent, taxpayers will be on the hook to finance what Congress legislated at the objection of over half the electorate, and the IRS will come after you if you fail to pay. Medicare and the Medicaid fraud. Merrill Matthews, Institute for Policy Innovation, wrote a revealing article on Medicare fraud in Forbes magazine, May 10th this year. He said the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services acknowledge $47 billion a year in questionable claims, i.e. fraud, in Medicare. About 10% of the program's $480 billion budget. Attorney General Eric Holder puts fraud even higher at maybe $60 billion. In contrast, private sector health insurers, which spend more than $600 billion a year on claims, keep the fraud rate to 1.5. Why the difference? The government writes reimbursement checks without checking claims, while private sector health insurers monitor claims before they pay them. Medicaid fraud is a big business because it's easier, safer, and more lucrative than many other crimes, and penalties are lower. All you need is a computer and a database of seniors, Medicare information, which is often for sale on the black market. Get caught dealing drugs, and they may lock you up and throw away the key. Get caught defrauding Medicare, and you may be out in a few years with good behavior, whereupon you can go right back to defrauding.